Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. Yes, it's time to chat with Mike Garafolo, as we do every week. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. Mike, I think we all expected that Jaxson Dart would become QB1 for the Giants at some point this season. Maybe we didn't expect it to happen this quickly. What's the mindset from the Giants on this decision?
The mindset is this is the best move for the team, not just in the long run, but in the short run. Russell Wilson had that game in Dallas where he was really good from an offensive standpoint and hitting those moon balls, but he made some critical mistakes when the team didn't need those critical mistakes. And really, he's been making critical mistakes in the red zone. And that last series the other night against the Chiefs sealed his fate, where he got 4 downs and the ball was nowhere near anybody with a chance to make a completion. So to Jaxson Dart they go, and all along the way, everything they've asked of him, spring, summer, preseason, even the packages they put in for him the last couple of weeks, he's handled it extremely well. My understanding is he's practiced incredibly well during the regular season with those packages. We know what he did in the preseason. We saw what he did in training camp as well. There's really no soft entry point in this schedule. We said this schedule was going to be brutal early on for the Giants, and it has been brutal. The easiest game, Jay, really is next week, but it's at the Saints. You want your rookie quarterback a lot of times to start at home if possible, so you sort of get that game against the Saints, but also the soft launch of him playing at home and getting the reception from the crowd and all those things. So that's why it makes all the sense in the world right now for the Giants. Look, I've said Russell Wilson has had an impact, and he has. He may never take another snap for the Giants, 0-3 with critical mistakes in the red zone and elsewhere, but this still might wind up being a good signing because he brought an energy, he brought a work ethic to that room, to the entire locker room that really they didn't have. And so Russell Wilson, we knew he was going to be a bridge guy. Like you said, at some point we figured Jaxson Dart would be the starter a little bit earlier maybe than some folks expected. So you don't necessarily look at this and say, oh, it was a failure to sign Russell Wilson. I think he's had an impact, and I think he's still going to have an impact as the backup quarterback, although I wouldn't rule out the possibility the Giants look to trade him at some point if a team has a need. We've already seen some teams with quarterback needs.
Couple of NFC pass catchers injured last week, Mike. I mentioned Mike Evans with that hamstring, and then there's CeeDee Lamb with the ankle sprain. Any potential positive news on when we might see either of those two back on the field?
Yeah, they're about the same timeline, and the hope is for CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys that it's on the shorter end, inside of a month, that he can come back. We know what he means to this team. It certainly would have been even worse last year without George Pickens, but if these teams got any shot of getting themselves at some point in the playoff hunt, and I just don't see it right now, but obviously I don't see it with CeeDee Lamb out of action. So you heard Jerry Jones in that clip you played before, how much he wants to win. To not have CeeDee Lamb on the field is going to be brutal for Dak Prescott and for this Cowboys team. As for Mike Evans, there is a little bit of wiggle room because the Bucs have gotten off to such a great start. He's going to miss somewhere around 3 weeks. Now, he missed 4 last year, with a hamstring injury. My understanding is the MRI showed, and he's felt this as well, that it's not as bad as last year's injury. So you figure he missed 4 games last year. Inside of that, the Bucs won't put him on injury reserve. That, Jay, gives you the indication that they believe it's going to be less than 4 weeks.
And then after we are done week 4, Mike Garafolo, either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens, one of those two teams will be 1-3 to start the season. It's hard to believe. Yeah. Where's the panic meter right now for both of these perennial contenders?
Listen, it's been rough and frustrating for the Chiefs, but that win last week against the Giants allowed everybody to take a deep breath and say, okay, we got that one. We felt like the first one was going to be tough to get. And they know that they've got some guys coming back, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice eventually in a couple of weeks. So there's this thought of just survive, get there, and then all of a sudden we'll hit our stride right when we need to. As for the Ravens, there is some panic there. I mean, they're not going to tell you that, but I know that there's a sense of concern with the injuries. Nnamdi Madubuike, if you didn't see the impact of not having him at the center of that defensive line, the 2-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle, you saw the push that the Lions got inside, allowed them to do everything that they needed to do from a running game standpoint. That's a huge problem. And then you've got Kyle Van Noy, who's going to miss maybe 1 or 2 more games. He's got that hamstring injury, hasn't gone on injured reserve, so that's a good sign. He's a big part of what they do defensively. And Patrick Ricard, I mean, a fullback is a key piece of the puzzle when he's blocking for Derrick Henry, and he's a big part of what they do in the running game. he had a setback from that calf injury he had. So these are really key injuries that hurt them badly the other night. And if they don't get these guys back in the short term, and for Matabike, it's a neck issue that he's undergoing medical evaluations. Who knows how long that's going to be? There is some concern in Baltimore right now, Jay.
And almost certainly the most exciting moment from Week 3. The Philadelphia Eagles with a comeback victory over the LA Rams, capped off by 6'6", 300-pound Jordan Davis, blocking a field goal and then subsequently scooping up that football and running it down the field to seal the victory for the Eagles. It was wild to watch. And, Mike, you were there, and you were a part of the post-game coverage. Let's take a listen.
You blocked it. Jalen blocked the other one, which deflected off your arm. I mean, 2 blocked field goals in a game. How does that happen?
It just goes out to the pace.
Look out!
Look, man.
That's a lot of human being right there. And then we talked about you coming in great shape, being able to play more down. How about running all the way with that football? That was all that extra weight you took off.
Look, man, I ain't ran that fast since my 40, so. But I'm glad I got a touchdown, man.
First of all, Jordan Davis just seems like a terrific person. Tell us about that, Mike. That looked like that was a ton of fun.
I don't know why I said look out. I'm the one that should have looked out. He's pretty big. He can handle it. Although it's probably a combined 700 pounds of humanity right there. So thankfully, it's kind of like the baseball reporters doing the one-on-ones, and then they come out with the bucket, and then they got to run out of the way. It was kind of like that for me in that situation. A couple of inside baseball, behind-the-scene things, inside football, really, I guess we should say. I'm screaming there because it was so loud that I didn't think you could hear me. Good job by my audio guy of getting all that out and getting that in right there. So that's one thing. 2, when we set up these interviews, you start to do it within the last 2 minutes of the game. And the team's public relations staff, all right, you get this guy, ESPN's going to get this guy, we'll dole it all out. Well, we had gone through all of that with both teams because we didn't know how it was going to end. And all of a sudden, something like that happens, and it's like all bets are off. So there's Jordan Davis. I go grab him. Thankfully, I had interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He appreciated that because he hasn't had a lot of these post-game interviews. And then I interviewed him again before this past game over the phone. I asked for him to talk to him to get a little bit of insight. So I built up a little bit of credibility here with Jordan. So when he saw me and I saw, yeah, come on, let's go. Let's do it right now, but without the blessing of the PR staff. So that was great to be able to do that in action right there, live on the field. It helped to add to it right there, and he was fantastic. And he has come in great shape. He had a couple of plays earlier in that game. He chased down Matthew Stafford when he was scrambling on one play. It was a key play there. Also had a stuff on a 4th down. He's been playing fantastic. Good for you, Jordan Davis. Everything, all that work you put in, everything is starting to pay off.
And good for you, Mike Garafolo, for remaining in one piece after those 2 big men nearly crushed you like a little sandwich there. That would have been frightening. We don't want to lose you that way, Mike.
Yeah, splat is the. The Batman's got the pow and the bang. That would have been splat, right. is what definitely would have been.
That would have been a splat for sure. Great chat with you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it, Chase.